right, Kevin, welcome, man. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, dude. I love finding guys that are taking that next chapter in their life and they're taking a wide and adventurous left turn into the unknown, dude. And your journey is remarkable, man. Like we talked a little bit earlier, a couple days ago, and it's inspiring, man. And these are the stories that I like to highlight. Guys from our community, cut from our cloth, that have gone through that transition, have found themselves in that moment of facing the unknown, like, oh fuck, who am I now, what do I do? And instead of going into that fear, instead of going inward and following the cookie cutter path for the rest of their lives, they're willing to go into that fear, they're willing to embrace it. And like we shared, they're willing to drown a little bit before they friggin' find that right swim stroke and get to a little bit of better waters, and then friggin' go off in the deep end again and sail again and continue going until they find where they're ultimately meant to be. So today, man, this is your episode, brother. Tell us about your life. And yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, first of all, I'm Kevin Garrad. I go by Kevin Pip, though, is my nickname. So a lot of people know me as Pip, my online identity. So you can't find me. But yeah, Kevin Pip is who I am. I'm British, if you can't tell. So I was born and raised in London, England. Yeah. Well, it gets better. Spoiler alert. And then I moved to America with my family when I was about to be turning 17. I got there 10th of September, 2001. So we checked into America, saw the trade centers. I've just left school. Next day we go to get our ID cards, and the trade centers come down. We're in a government building. They walk out and say, America has now gone to war. The building's closed. Go home. So my family's just moved to America, sold everything in England. I'm just a young man turning into military age. I'm like, I grew up reading SAS books and Afghanistan and distant battles. Like, it was meant to be. So I literally been in America 2 months, signed up, went off to basic at Leonardwood, tried to get to Afghanistan because it was kicking off with sappers blowing stuff up. So I became a combat engineer to do cave missions. So I joined the Army for, and then they told me no. I told my drill sergeant during basic I wanted to be in war and I wanted to do a sapper mission. And he's like, so at the end of my basic training, he sent me to 3rd ID at Stuart. And I was like, what the F? He's like, I got you, man. Like, just a war is coming. And then, yeah, we trained up. And a year later, we invaded Iraq. Literally the spear of that. Well, not the spear. I'll get to that later. So we were the guys that blew the berm into Iraq. So I was one of the engineers.
Oh, shit.
We were the guys. After we blew the berm and bulldozed it, nothing happened. It's 2, 3 in the morning. And then like sounds come and buggies, man. Buggies, motorbikes, SEAL teams, SF, all going through the breach into the desert. And I remember being there like, who the F are these guys? And like, what? Yes, like that's what I want to be. So that was it, man. That set who I wanted to be. So I did the rest of the war rotation, and then we were doing like a year off, year on. So I did the initial invasion, then I went back for the surge, which is when the insurgency kicked off. And we were like, what are insurgents? There's nothing in the book about this. So yeah, then after that I did another rotation, and it was like getting more into like these big mega fobs and IEDs and car bombs. And after that I felt that I was ready to go SF. Because I was in your time, we were the old school guys, you had to be a combat MOS with deployments and usually like an E6 to go over. Late on in my career I was a recruiter, and we'd take you as an E4 with no combat rotations. We needed you to go past the course. So back then I was like, I'm not ready to go to the Q course and be judged by warriors. So I knew I had to wait. So when I was finally around like 25, 26, I was like, okay, I know who I am, done my combat tours. So I went on to selection. Selection wasn't too hard for me. It was, it's miserable, guys. It sucks. Just show up, you're fed, and there's showers, and you don't die. Like, there's worse.
It's like, it's 9 to like 8 p.m. abuse. Then some light hazing.
You can just deal with like insane amounts of hazing and abuse and just being like, what's worse about it is you don't know how good your life's going to be. You have an idea that SF is better than the regular army, but if you actually knew, and if they could give you a taste of it when you were there, you'd be like, what? I'll suck this 3 weeks up to that. At the time, you don't know. You just hope, and you've read books and literature, so you hope the golden goose is the golden goose. Yeah. But I'd been in the army for a while, so I'd done a lot of the bullshit, so I could deal with like being hazed all day. Like, welcome to my world.
All day.
Yeah, so that wasn't too bad. I could have been in better shape when I went. I just kind of grunted it out, and I saw a lot of really fit people. Just that mental, they're not there.
Yeah.
Like some people quit. And I was at the end of my career, so I went through selection, went off to another weird hookup. I wanted to be third group to station at Bragg, and I told my head of the Charlie program what I was into, what I wanted to do for rotations. He's like, "I got you." So when they called out the rotations, like third group, I'm like, third group. They're like 110. I'm like, what is a 110? I was meant to be a third group. I didn't even know we had a 110. So I ended up with 1st Battalion, 10th Special Forces Group out of Stuttgart, Germany, which was absolutely amazing because the rest of your SF rotations suck if you're in America. You're in a whole other time zone. So us and the Oki guys out of Okinawa have a pretty good kind of lifestyle, you know. No matter how bad the trouble is at group, it's a whole other day before they wake up and get to us. So like things simmer down. You're definitely the bastard children of your groups because people forget that you have 1-1 and 110 overseas. But of all the vast majority of SF dudes just dealing with other SF dudes in America, I was unique. I'm dealing with NATO SOFs. I work with SAS, SBS. I stood up the Romanians, the Hungarians. Like we stood the whole NATO mission up. So like that was at the time when I did it, it sucked. But looking back now as an adult, I'm like, actually, it was a really cool, non-traditional mission we got to be a part of. Also, like I said at the beginning, I'm British, so imagine being a British citizen that moves to America, joins Special Forces, and they station you back in Germany, a 1-hour flight from where you grew up. So I had a great time in Germany. We were also doing the 6-on, 6-off rotations. So I hit the ground running straight to the box for 6 months, and then we'd come back, a month of leave, 4 months of training, and back in, came back out. I did that. So I think 3 tours back to back to back like that, and then basically moved on off to SWIC and did my SWIC tour before retiring from service.
Oh yeah, dude, getting it back to back to back, dude. That's like whirlwind, dude. You have no time to like sleep or breathe.
Looking back on it, it was hectic, and that's why we're on your podcast now. I'm talking about mental health and resiliency at the time. Me and you spoke about the other day too. When I was in Special Forces, I'm sure it'll sound weird to a lot of young men that look up to us as like operators. I didn't feel like a man. I'm doing SF things and wearing a beret and like looking in my mirror some days like, who the fuck am I? Like, I didn't feel like I knew who I was. And I think you said it too. If we were to go back to SF now, we might be a little slower, but operationally, we'd be freaking outstanding operators. I can do with stress much better. I don't collapse under the same. I won't be going home and binge drinking because of a bad day. I have better coping mechanisms now. So at the time, there's these huge highs and successes, like we explained, there's these huge lows as well. And there's some of the worst moments of my life were also experienced in the Army.
Oh yeah, dude. I wish we could develop a mentorship program to give this resilience to guys who are still in. Like it's really, honestly, one of the greatest things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wrong time. Like me and you sitting there, like, once again, we're busy SF dudes, just dealt with a bad commander for the morning. We're not in the mood to hear a briefing on a Friday. And now you had some old guys telling us like, resilience, when you get out. We're like, dude, I've got a range tomorrow. My wife needs me. I haven't seen my kids in the month. Like, so we just weren't receptive to hearing what we needed. But look at this amazing platform you've built, man. Like other people out there like yourself that have this platform now. So hopefully we can't save them all, but we might save 1 or 2, right? Someone might hear it and be like, that's it.
Yeah, you got to be willing to put the stuff out there and hope that the right person hears it at the right time when they're ready to receive it. And that's just the truth, man. Like we want everybody to heal and everybody come to the watering hole and soak up this knowledge. But the truth is, like they have to have a buy-in too. They have to want it. And I'm willing to create it and make space for it for the right time when they're ready. It's like there's nothing more chaotic than trying to bring something like mindfulness and meditation to somebody that's not ready to hear it. I've seen that.
I had to find it in Thailand with the help of mushrooms. Therapeutic. Yeah. Literally a mushroom that grows in the ground, which in America, as I'm told, is illegal. But when I was getting out and I had TBI and PTSD and I've been blown up multiple times, like I was on God knows how many meds for headaches, not sleeping, not waking. It was ridiculous. So even all the chemicals I was putting into my body then that was like, yeah, good. It's no issue. DOD approved it. And then like the idea of getting out and then kind of being around hippies talking about their therapeutic and healing. Like I got into the whole McKenna with the mushrooms and kind of like, wow, maybe there's something to be found in this if you go into it the right way and search.
Yes.
It allows you to, the best way I can put it to people who haven't tried mushrooms, if you're ready for it, it's like having a really messy desktop. Everything's out of order. And you don't even know where to start. Sometimes with the mushrooms, it allows you to like go through the files and back rooms and doors without the stress. It feels like being inside who you are and what's going on in your head, kind of an unusual way to get in there kind of feeling.
That's it's something that it's crazy when we take a step back and look at everything that they give us and they say like, this is healthy for you. And it's insane pharmaceuticals, like powerful, potent things that make us addicts like within weeks of being on it. I used to think Adderall was a safe thing. Oh, this is a super drug. This is a wonderful thing. It's literally meth. It's literally meth. It's the same thing. Yeah. Here I am on the back end of my my career, and as I'm going out, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have to prescribe you something for your ADHD and for the way you're dealing with like processing issues and concentration issues and focus issues. It's called Provigil." I'm like, I know Provigil. That's the shit they give us downrange to stay awake. Oh, no. Nowadays, because your brain's fucked up, this will help you go to sleep. It'll help you focus. And then you take it because you listen to doctors and you think, well, these people know what they're talking about. And then you don't realize and you don't do the research and you find out that just like anything else you take over and over and over, you're going to build a dependency on it. And your body's just going to say, well, I don't have to work as hard, or I don't have to create the things that naturally occur in your body to help you focus and help you stay alert. And then there's a medical shortage. And that really happened. There was a shortage of Provigil. And within like one day of not having my medication, I was like, holy fuck, I am worthless. And I was like, okay, like this is the worst feeling on earth. Why would they prescribe this stuff?
How much stuff was going out? I remember at this, not the height of the wars, when the war started. So we'd gone from 1980 or the early 90s with the Gulf no war, and then we had the meat grinder of Iraq when we kicked off. Yeah. When I came back at the end of that rotation with the first kind of mass wounded from our battalions, so Percocets were going off the shelves like,
yeah.
I remember my friends had brown paper bags. You could go to the TMC and they were brown paper baggy. Oh, I got blown up, my back hurts. Brown paper bag. You'd have Flexols, Percocets. It was the Wild West for a while, and that was at the height of like the opiate surge in America. I saw it wreck soldiers, and guys and girls that come back from rotations, and literally had access to a way to numb the fact that we had to go back. We had to go back to that hellhole we just come from. Like we were going back. Like there was this constant stress. So yeah, with the whole like addiction thing, I kind of touched on it a little bit myself. And one of the biggest hooks that I learned, like you start taking them for physical pain, right? You're taking Percocet because I had physical pain. I got blown up, broke a leg as well, and the ankles. Like physical pain, taking them. Physical pain eventually will stop, and then you start using them for the mental pain because you're doing physical pain and they make you feel better at night. Mental pain. The physical pain will stop, but you keep taking them for the mental pain. And that's how you get that hook. I've seen so many of our vets be in that situation. Happened to me. One day I went to TMC, like, you're good now, off. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Oh my God. I had cold turkey withdrawals. No one cared. Trying to do PT about shitting myself. Like, there was no post-withdrawal plan for military for the amount of drugs they gave us. I saw so many people cold turkey other stuff and then transition to something else, or a homie would hook them up. Like, it was horrible. We were a big experiment for a while with that. Now, I think that's carried over to a lot of our vets. That's why I hear the SF guys whining now that they're not getting rotations and wars. Like, careful what you wish for, boys and girls.
100%. That's a crazy thing. We have to understand as warriors too. Like, I remember as I was leaving, having to discuss that and bring that to the table with guys that were just getting there as Afghanistan was closed off and it was done. Like, I understand your passion for wanting to go prove yourself in battle. But understand your worth is not rooted in this conflict. Your conflict will come. Your time to test yourself in battle will come. Maybe it's not Afghanistan or some far off country. Maybe it's getting back to your roots in your AOR. Maybe you could be the next great sergeant major that develops a new way of training partner force, or developing or better enabling and equipping our partner force in South America. Maybe that's your higher calling for your time in service. Don't look at what we did as the highest calling. Like your next endeavor.
We had a weird run. We had the glory days kind of. Well, or not. That's getting like glory days or not the glory days, right? It was a meat grinder in a freaking hot desert place where a lot of the time we couldn't see who was killing us. It was really frustrating.
Dude, it
Everyone wants to
became
be in
a
a
pop
firefight
culture
and get
phenomenon.
shot.
Guys, I remember guys looked to Afghanistan and Iraq like that movie, that surf movie, The Endless Summer. People really idolized this idea of like, that's the epitome of life. We just gotta go. And like, I was there. I'm just as guilty. That's a young man's mentality. Like war is the ultimate calling. And in reality, no, it's not. Like it's being a good person, being part of a community, becoming a father, becoming a husband, like giving to others, being of service to others. Yes, if you're part of the warrior tribe, if you're part of this great brotherhood, that's one of the things you may encounter, and you have to be ready for it. But it shouldn't be the one thing that you look upon and say, like, that's my greatest achievement. No. If you're called to do it, if you're called to serve in the time of war, that is amazing and wonderful for you to experience, and I'm glad we were a part of it. But it doesn't make me a better man because I went to war. It doesn't make
look at
me
our suicide rate because of the war. Suicide rate because of the war. Divorce because all our family friends to me and you have that divorce. Suicides who lost. People that just hit rock bottom and didn't come back. People that it broke. So much that went on, and then look at the end.
Yeah.
You were there when I was there. How many times did we know that was coming? And we said, like, why are we going on this patrol with these assheads when we know that this is going to happen? Like, why risk our lives when, like, it was so sure. I was very shocked when it happened. I saw it in high digital quality on YouTube, like, in my face. Real Tim Kennedy's there rescuing people, jumping over walls and stuff. Like, it was amazing, man. But no, it was very shocking. Like, them poor kids that went in at the end and they hadn't done the wars and what is in Afghanistan and like what is the Taliban. Like, suddenly they're at Bagram, it's all falling apart. Like, I saw the stress on their faces in the videos. Like, that would have been a lot for us to like handle. But at least we'd done rotation.
That's
kids at the end got
me.
thrown into the. You guys play professional football? No, catch this and take the field. Like, whoa.
Dude, it was one of the most shocking things. And you just said it. It was looking at the faces online of, and not to take anything away from these service members, they were called upon to do something that was nearly impossible, and they rose to the challenge. But when you're an older service member yourself, you know, myself at the time, I was a CW2, and I'm looking at these videos of these young service members, and I'm looking at their faces. I'm old enough to have been a father at that point to any one of those young service members.
Right,
and you're, they're not
the
fucking
Afghans
kids.
Are mixed in there as well. Then our African partners are mixed in there. Like, guys, we said, like, we'll never leave you. There was so much stuff going on in videos. So it was very heavy. I tried to not take it personal because we knew it was coming. It's part of that conversation me and you had, reminiscing on the good old days, and people were like, oh, I miss the army. Like, do you really? Me and you were recounting a lot of the crap that goes on with it, and that is just the final like leg of a long multi-year war of crap that we kind of were like, after a while we knew we shouldn't be there and just went on, and well, we got out eventually, so it's not all bad.
And you know, guys, like, the one thing, like, did you find it easier to leave with the war coming to an end officially in both Iraq and Afghanistan? Is that something that I often think about and ask a lot of people?
Iraq, so I started in Iraq, and Iraq went on forever, and we both places, we trained up the partner forces, we saw mega bases. I was there, like, I helped build a few of the original bases. I went back years later, and they're mega bases now. I remember Bagram was a strip. I think the whole time during it, we knew it wasn't going to work. Like, we should have kept, in Afghanistan, we should have kept the warlords in place, because that's how the country runs. That's why the Taliban now are running amok. And in Iraq, we shouldn't have just gone there. Like, we had no beef with Saddam. I guess that's the biggest thing. Now I think about it, all these repressed memories, right? The biggest thing that hurt, or not hurt, because I used to learn to not care about it, with Iraq was the whole, they lied to us. Not only lied to us, we went to fight this good war, and by the end of it, we knew, like, they lied to us, we shouldn't have been here. And then you get into, like, well, a lot of us died, a lot of my friends died. I lost my whole 20s and my being a kid and going to school and girlfriends. Like, we spent it in a worthless war. But that's what America does. We're a war country. So don't cry when you join the warriorhood of America. And you're like, oh no, we got sent to a war. Like, you joined America. That's why you joined.
It's dude.
It's in Sweden.
Yeah. Turns out, we're not the Rebel Alliance. We're the Empire.
You are on the Death Star, okay?
that's
them guys. Are we on the good side?
That's the saddest part about this whole thing. I've got got a Rebel Alliance tattoo. And I quickly understood that no, we are very much the Empire.
Hey, I've had this conversation many times, especially overseas in Thailand, where I deal with lots of different foreign nationals and Brits and like the hippies with their opinions. Like, especially when I hear Americans on the liberal side bitch about the American war footing. I get to travel the world. Like, that same war footing is why you live such a good life in America. Why you have all the niceties you have, and no one's invading. There's no bombs going off like downtown Israel or Syria. Like, nothing happens in America. We kill ourselves in mass shootings. Other than that, like, life is good because no one messes with the big dogs. So like, there is also why we need war. Also, like, why I get the value of America's a world superpower needs to flex its muscles like every 20 years. Then the Gulf War, then this one. Now we're getting ready for Russia again. And even that, I can see the news cycles. It went from like no war to now like suddenly they're justifying it and trying like next they'll start fanning the young. Get ready for the war. Like, oh, it's good to be a soldier. Great benefits. We need you. Like, it's the next, like, it's the ebb and flow of being a massive military. The Death Star needs souls.
We gotta get more stormtroopers. We gotta. Right now we're seeing
more blood.
We're seeing we were talking about it. It's that great wave analogy where it's like, hey man, like when that wave is coming in and you're riding that surf, it feels great. When it finally crashes, things suck. The budget sucks. There's command issues. Funding's getting cut. But then just wait. Just hold on a little bit. Keep paddling back out. You're going to catch another great wave. And you're right. I feel it just talking to everybody, hearing how bad things are. I'm like, things are going to rebound when things are really, really bad. Just let it get really bad. Make it through the bad times. And it'll get really bad.
When I joined the army and I got to the third ID, they hadn't been deployed since the 80s. And I got there to shine your boots, press your uniform, inspect your rooms every day. Like, I did a year of old school regular army in 2000s. And like, that is when they had no other purpose and you do army life. There's no war. Like, welcome to the army. You march, you sing cadence. Like, but it changes very quickly. And I watched it go from that to suddenly America turns the key on for this war machine real quick. And then we're heroes again. Like, Arby's loves us. Applebee's gives us discounts. Back in the day, it was good, man. We used to go to Disney World in Orlando like once a year.
Yeah.
What I'd give for them days.
Ticker tape parades, soon they'll dry up. That's when you don't have the Chili's and Applebee's discounts. That's when you know things are tough.
Yeah, it's good for the economy, right? Everyone needs some jobs right now. It's a boom. Get some school money.
Oh man, dude, and why did you decide? I mean, with everything being good in America, as we tend to think before we travel abroad, what made you decide to finally punch out and travel the world?
Yeah, I think being British is a big part of that. I'm already not home, right? America's a second home for me anyway. So anywhere, and then I went to Germany. Anywhere else is just another adventure for me. I'm already, I have a gypsy soul. My granddad's Irish and old gypsies. Like, I literally have a gypsy soul. I don't like being in place very long. I just have a wanderer's soul. Like, I physically get like an angst and I want to go to the next place. I've been all over Africa, all over Asia. I like you said, I was talking to the other day, I read a lot of books on these amazing places and I want to see them. I've been to Myanmar and Cambodia and Thailand, all over Africa. Like, it's amazing to see these places. And I guess a really big push for me to go and see them is the human world is modernizing at an extreme rate. Even from when I was like 20 years ago, there was way more woods in Savannah, Georgia, and like more open areas. And now it's all industrial. So a lot of these places I want to go see, as I still imagine them from reading in the books, won't exist for that much longer. And I want to go see them. I feel like I've already missed the age of great explorers. I wasn't able to come to Africa or explore Asia or like work my way into the Amazon before anyone else. So that part of me is it yearns for that. And I feel like I missed out, maybe born a little too late. But like I said to you the other day, at the same time, I can get anywhere in the world within 24 hours and swiping a piece of plastic. And that's unheard of in the world of human travel, which is like, right now, someone said the other day to me, the world is flat. And I was kind of like, what? And he's like, hear me out. In the old days, the world was round. You had to sail around it. It might as well be flat now because you can take off here and land anywhere in the world. Everything is digital. Like, there's no the other side of the world anymore. It's from here to here, real time. I'm in Africa right now talking to you streamlessly like that. When we started the war back in the old days, we used to write on the old MRE postcards.
Yeah, it literally came with a note card or a postcard.
now here me and you are, old dudes, real time streaming. So like, so the world is flat in the sense that it's not this other side of the world anymore. Now it's literally less one day you can get to most places. So in a weekend you can go anywhere, get back, or in a week you can really go. So that really encouraged me to get out and explore. There's still so many more places I want to go to and check out. The more you travel and kind of get exposed to other kind of ways of doing things or other cultures, I take away the bits that I'm like, that's a good part I can incorporate into who I am, why I'm the way I am. So yeah, I like to travel. I like food. I really like seeing nature in other countries. Like wilderness fascinates me.
Yeah.
And then the cultures as well. Everyone's different.
Dude, it reminds me. I always say that within every Green Beret is like a less addicted Anthony Bourdain. Because everywhere I've
100%.
been, everywhere I've traveled, whenever there's downtime, everybody has this idea that everybody is a binge drinker and has loose morals and just wants to, get with women and party all night. But more often than not, when we travel and go abroad, like the main thing guys are looking for is adventure.
Yep.
Checking out restaurants they saw on a TV show. Like, oh, dude, like I remember going to Peru, and that was one of the things. Like I was there with a couple guys who were like, dude, like we got to check out like where Anthony Bourdain, like all the places he went around here, like try to figure out like the best place for ceviche, the best place for like seeing like things, like going to the Nazca lines, like those types of adventures, like they stick with you for the rest of your life, man. And I think that that's something that for a lot of us, we forget when we get out. Like even our brothers in conventional military, like you have this drive for adventure, but you get out of the military, and it almost just falls to the wayside.
As most people, when they turn into adults, they lose their childhood passions. I'm still a big kid at heart, so I just I'm basically like 8-year-old Kevin in a man's body right now. Still running around playing with wildlife. I got to do my SF dream. I live in Africa right now. I was with gorillas last year, so like, yeah, it's just keeping that kind of childhood dream alive and just getting out and doing things when you get old. I've also got to encounter some really cool old people on my journeys who are me in 20 years. Like they're in their 50s or 60s or 70s. And they're still out there getting it, surfing. So when I meet some old people quite often, I'm like, who are you? How old are you? And what are you doing? They'll tell me their story. And I'm like, dude, age is a number. I'm in really great shape right now. And I always have been in my military career because when I was a 17-year-old super fast kid in the unit, everyone used to tell me, wait until you're my age, you'll be a broken piece of fat shit. Like you're old. Yeah, exactly. So I remember being young kid and like at that age, it's seared in my mind. Like I will not be that. I will not be 30 and broke or 40 and fat. Like, so yeah, it's very much like how you perceive yourself. And if you want to be 70 and fit, you can be. Like you can be. So
I remember the same thing. I remember guys in the 82nd that were like, well, just wait till you're 35. Then you'll see what it's really like to. I'm like 35. I remember when I hit my 30s, and I'm like, this is like what people were complaining about. Like this idea, like I'm 40 now, and I remember guys in their 40s in the conventional army saying the same thing. Yeah, fucking just wait till you're 40 and you can't. I'm like, dude, like physical fitness, your mental health, your spiritual health, it's all linked together, man. Like if you take care of yourself, you take care of yourself.
It's all of it's connected. Your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical, even including what you eat. Everyone asks me, how do you stay fit? Like, I live in Africa, which was a choice. My local shop is 2K away. I buy most of my groceries every other day. So I chicken, beef, fresh veg, rice, oatmeal. I drink wine, but nothing's really processed. And that's why I cut out as much as possible. If it's processed with a bunch of chemicals you don't know, like we as humans are not going to eat that crap. If you cut all that out, work, like you don't have to work out that hard either. I do like 45 minutes, 5 days a week, like in the army, and I walk my dogs 2 miles. It's just like staying active, eating healthy, it affects your mental capacity. In this day and age, especially with what's going on in America right now, with all the preservatives they put into our stuff. It sounds like I've got a tinfoil hat as I'm getting older, but like it's a real thing. I've seen the huge differences, and like what's making our kids so unhappy. And I think American veterans, like a lot of them are smoking, dipping, energy drinks, all these like. Yeah, it's a chemical. You don't need it. But what happens when you put too much in or you mix it with the other ones? Like, no one knows. Like, they're just figuring it out right now and going along with it. 10 years from now, they'll tell us it's bad. So, like, cut it out. Keep it simple. Take care. It's same with spiritual health. Like, I'm not overly religious, but I am spiritual in where I live, the wilderness. And I'm connected to the wildlife, and I get to appreciate kind of, what's the word for it? My mortality or immortality. I see lots of dead things, dying, living. So it's very much like, this is what happened to me too. No different. So
yeah,
just being
it's actually an important thing in life. That right there, the understanding of you're only here for a certain amount of time. Understanding that, and we are so disconnected from that. Like, we don't, normal Americans, average Americans, they don't hunt for sustainment. They're not connected with what food they're putting in their body. They don't understand life cycle. Being out in the bush, you see it every single day. The actual full cycle of life. Young animals,
all the interactions, all the little bugs interacting with mammals and birds and things growing. Like, it's amazing. It just really makes me appreciate where I am in the world, like our place in the universe, and how like insignificant we are. Like, we pray to a bigger God, like we're the only ones who's gonna help that person there. Don't mind the elephant that's also struggling. There's even just that one guy. Everything else is also suffering along with us.
James lost a lot of crypto coin. Please help him.
Yeah, so like humans as a whole, like we try to put understanding on our struggle, and living in this environment where everything struggles kind of puts you back into that like primitive, like everything dies. I can walk out at night and the lion could get me here. Like, I'll fight it, but if it's my time, it's my time, you know?
Yeah.
I'll take that over a car crash in America any day of the week. Everyone out fighting a lion. Tiny little lion, it'll sick, but don't tell them that.
Dude, it's just like we were talking about the ghost in the darkness. That's a way better way to go out in life than dying of hypertension and diabetes.
Right, my biggest threats are probably riding a motorbike, crocodiles. They'll get you. They're out there everywhere. They're massive. We got some huge, 1,000-pound kind of 20-footers. I've seen them grab elephants by the trunk and try and drown elephants. They don't need much to be in water, and if they get you, like, that's the only time I'm near water. I'm like, this could be the one. Hippos might get me because they come out of the water and they're big and fast. And then, the motorbike. I love to ride in Africa, and I got a big BMW 1200, but it's rural Africa. Nice tarmac roads. Like, you can get in there, no traffic. You come around a bend, there'll be 50 cows in the road. That kind of thing.
But dude, how did the journey to Africa begin? When did that, like, how did you find yourself from transition and then get into Africa?
I had a terrible transition out, man, which is why I got into kind of like helping veterans in Africa and dealing with the moral injury thing. But we'll get to that. So I'd been blown up in the army. I'd been a breacher all for my SF career. Got injured jumping as well. Got addicted. All kinds of just the regular, like, being pounded during the GWAT rotations. Yeah. So I went to SWIC to take my break and take it easy. They sent me back to my original home station of Fort Stewart, Georgia, where everything's named after my dead friends. And I'm in an office which is next to the Memorial Way, which is also named after my dead friends. And I'm recruiting soldiers to go and fight in a war I don't believe in, while telling them how great I am as an SF dude and why they should go. I was looked at as kind of like this hero back in my old community again. Yeah. And what finally did it for me is one of the kids I recruited and really liked went off, did great through selection, got deployed and died. And that really was like a breaking point for me, man. Like, at the end of the war, I don't believe in. Here I am back at Fort Stewart, Georgia, with soldiers that look up to me, with all the memorials and streets named after my dead friends, while I'm sending kids out now. So I was like, that really like fucked up my head. I tried to tell recruiting command, which is like, it's in SWIC, but it's slightly different. You're closer to the recruiters. So the recruiters were like, do your fucking job, like, just suck it up. Like, it was horrible. I was kind of like, I'm a goddamn SF dude, man. Like, where is my group? Like, where is my commander? Like, where is the emergency button I pushed to be like, help? Like, Kev's not. No, there was none of it. It was like, it didn't come. So I had definitely the moral injury when I left. I just kind of got spit out of recruiting command by like the recruiting command itself. Like, bye, we'll get another one of you. I just kind of left, not as like a long-term serving army dude that did all the rotations, all the things I needed to do, like with a plaque and I just kind of got kicked out the door, like, bye. So I hit rock bottom in Savannah, back in my hometown. It was the worst place to be ever, man. Like, old memories, old exes. But I hit rock bottom really quick, so I went down, hit it, and I remember being like drunk on the motorbike one night, just kind of like, what's the point? And I was like, no, what the hell is it? Like, what is my way of thinking? Like, this can't go on. So that I'm done. My biggest passion was to do wildlife conservation. I wanted to be a zookeeper. or a ranger. My parents told me that was for dirty dreadlocked hippies though, so here I am. Yeah, man. So I headed off to sold all my stuff, head off to South Africa. Went through ranger training, joined a ranger unit in the bush doing rhino protection, and kind of took on like a senior training advisor role in that position. Kind of got involved heavily in that, which was also terrible. Amazing to be in the bush. Amazing to be in the bush, but I'd gone from military life and SF stress to like in Africa, underfunded, understaffed, undermanned, under-equipped, under-weaponized against heavily armed gangs, killing this thing that we love the most and protect every day and we hang out with, like these big rhinos. Like that's the objective, right? And like you come out in the morning, it's dead. Cut its face off. Like it's not dead, it's limping around and dying. Like and you're constantly getting texts and messages like this unit was attacked, this rhino died, and like it started to become like a rotation again where it's like IED went off, so and so died. I didn't realize at the time, but I was still running in that SF mode of like high success, like got to get after it, and it was burning me out. And I actually had some old SF guys come out and help me train rangers, and like I remember one day seeing them kind of break, and I was like, "What are we doing? Like this isn't." So came back to America for a while, became a professional fisherman up in Massachusetts. I was doing offshore tuna fishing, like 1,000-pound tunas with the wicked tuna crew and stuff.
Nice.
Saved up money again, went back to Africa, became an instructor at a facility for like 2 months training rangers and seeing like, gone from being on the ground now to seeing the mechanism of like, how do we train rangers for wildlife conservation as a whole across the continent. I got more involved with like the illegal wildlife trafficking side and all the undercover, basically like the SF mission at ASO, like I used to do. I was in the intel side. So like, same things, man. So once again, I'm engaging an old passion in a new way, which is meaningful to me on my terms. I want to do this. And then I went off to Thailand to head there and see what's going on with the tiger poaching situation, because Africa is saturated with rangers and non-profits and money galore. Asia has even worse poaching, but no one's there and you never hear about it. So I was like, I'm going to go to Asia and find out like what the ranger situation is there. So I moved out to Asia with my wife, got involved in jungle restoration with the Royal Thai Army, planting trees, doing tiger protection stuff, living in a hippie town with the hippies that grew the dreadlocks. Started to like, that's when I started to be around hippies instead of like hardcore ex-former special operations killers. And it changed my perspective. It brought me down. Like I not down negatively, down like just more chill, like more like
down regulated. Yeah,
regulated, man. Like the stress wasn't there. I started to play. So in this town, the hippies, they're doing all kinds of funny hippie things, and like I would go take part in these events. And originally, I didn't like a lot of it. It's stupid, but it's just play. It's just play. There's no objective other than just have fun, be goofy with your friends. And I forgot how to play when I was in SF. All we did was drink, go out, like work. There was no play. Like I played PlayStation, but that's not the same as like laughing and giggling and like being drunk with your friends and like doing mushrooms and running around. That's play, and that's why I was kind of like, this is what I missed in my military career. I was like this play part of my life, and I remembered that. I was like, okay, I need to incorporate this more into who I am. Like, remember to play, no matter the age where I am. Like, play. Yeah, so that was great. I love Thailand and Asia, but I really miss the wilderness. They've eaten and killed a lot of their wildlife. It's not as abundant as here in the same way. So I love the food, love the culture, love the jungle. Like motorbikes there is amazing, but it's just there's nothing there. Like you'll never bump into an elephant or a lion or a tiger. Here where I live in the Kruger, I got stuff 24/7 outside my window. So that's the part I really needed for balance for Kev. And I found out now from more and more research, it's mentally good for me because that's how humans are meant to be. I'm back in the wild, and there's threats to my life. You're part of a
system.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I get to see the system. I get to teach the system now, as well as share it with other people that come and visit. So I'm also taking my guide courses and stuff. So I'm passionate about this. And like, it's brought me closer to the wild, which has made me more connected to myself, which is what I was saying to you the other day with the human extinction of experience. In the last few hundred years, we've disconnected from the nature. Now it's like a hobby you look at on YouTube, like survival skills on YouTube. Like that should be a hardcore tomorrow. A nuclear bomb goes off and there's no internet, no power, and it's never going to come back on again. Like, okay, can you purify water? Can you catch a fish? Can you make a fire? Like, sounds simple, but most people really can't. And I get to do these skills.
That's such a fascinating like thing to pause on. Like, dude, you're so right. Like, we don't live. We're consuming that we call it entertainment now. We're consuming these channels that literally are teaching you how to just live in the environment. Like,
Even right now, we're talking nuclear war, and these big things come in. Like maybe a super volcano goes off and blocks out the sun, and we have a 6-year winter and no plants grow. The economy crashes. Like it doesn't take much. Russia launches the nuke and it shoots down one satellite, and they all crash. Like all connection gone. Like we lived during COVID, and we still had connectivity, and that shut down everything. Imagine the next big thing without connectivity.
yeah.
China just cut the world underwater cables recently in the last week or so. Like we're finding out it doesn't take much to sever our stuff. It's not like this big building. It's underground. You just cut the sins.
Yeah.
And
dude,
don't get me started aliens.
We'll get to that.
Figure it all out before the nuclear war or the aliens announce themselves officially. Like there's some basic survival skills. Stock up on some seeds.
Dude, what was COVID like in Africa, man? Like I have to imagine it changed.
Good and bad at the same time. Yeah, so I was living in the Kruger Park region, so we got locked into the parks, which was great. So surrounded by the wildlife, I could walk around my massive 5-square-mile parks. I'm still biking. The wildlife came out like never before because the road traffic wasn't there. There were no planes, so there were more birds and insects. A lot of the nocturnal animals became more diurnal, like early mornings, late afternoons. So it was amazing to see. But there was a fear that we had no vaccine. And if we caught COVID, we thought we were going to die. My wife has asthma, so she didn't come out the house. I was going to the store in mask and like having to sanitize when I came home. And we were basically stuck here until October. Then we went back to America to get shots and stuff. So it was a little stressful, but at the same time, like I once again reiterated why I live here. If the world did go to crap, like I can cut down my fence right now, make some wire snares. We would eat like kings for the rest of the week. But Impala, like lizards, snakes, they got veg, all the wild tubers and roots you could possibly want, endless water. I've got a river, a dam, fish, crocodiles. Like I really could survive here. I don't have Alaskan winters, so I don't have to worry about the snow and survive. Like, I'm in a place where if a nuclear war did happen, look on the map, no one's bombing South Africa. We're so insignificant. But as far as like what the country has in wealth of what you can take from the land, wildlife, food, fish, water, it's abundant. So I moved here for a bit of like a security reason. It's kind of like my plan B if it goes to shit. It's a good place to be.
Every Green Beret is also a prepper. Like you always have to plan.
This is my plan. I'm like, I'm in the right place. Abundant food. The animals trust me. You fatten them up just in case. Here you go, buddy. Eat this. Oh, you're so cute.
I'm doing this because I love you.
Yes, that's how I ended up in wildlife conservation. So I've been a professional wildlife conservationist since about 2016, 2017 now. I bounced around the world working for lots of other organizations. I formed my own one in 2019 in Thailand called WildWorks. We've been doing ranger training, 8 countries around the world. I shut it down this year. I trained over 1,500 rangers, 8 countries, put out thousands of dollars in medical kits. It was great. It was just emotionally draining, man. As a founder and CEO of a nonprofit, your job is to raise money. And you're not going to an investor like, hey, give me $1 million, I'll give you a cutback. It's like, give me $1 million for my mission. Like, hell for it. It's just a really hard ask. And what was the most emotional like drain of all of that is you have to, every time you go to meet a donor, good day, bad day, you got to put the face on. Like, hey, you sell your soul because you're selling your mission. I'm not giving you a return on investment. You're buying into my mission. So you're nodding your head. I'm like, my ASOs, I'm like, I'm getting it. I'm nailing it. And they'll be like, yeah, we'll get you in a week from now. They won't contact you back, or they'll send you half the money or a fraction of the money. Like, and then once again, the mission keeps going. You just failed the team. Fundraise again. Like it was soul crushing for me. That took us a drain on. By the end of it, it just become unfun to do the things which I really loved doing, which was the ranger training. So I shut down the company. I was like in March, and then I started a military contracting company. This is funny because I was like, I should do the contracting thing, make money, right? Went through all the things, got it all started up, built the website, learned how to do it, and I flew back to America in May to Orlando, and I went to like the biggest contracting conference. And when I was there, it killed my soul. I sat there and I heard them talk day one.
Was it the Soft Coalition conference?
I almost cried. I was 100% like, Kev, we don't belong here, man. Like, this isn't, you're living in Africa and Asia doing adventures, and now you're in a room full of people trying to make millions and hustling. And I felt dirty. So I appreciate everyone that does it. Like, great job. Just me personally, like, I instantly was like, I don't want to be here. I paid for the conference for 5 days. I left after 2. I flew home. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah,
It was the
no,
best decision ever. Best
I
decision ever.
completely agree. I
I
completely
got
agree.
back to
It's
got back to Africa, did a SWOT on like what have I been doing with Wild Response and nonprofit, and then my personal travel. What was making money out of all of that, and that was being a safari tour guide and bringing people to
Yep.
Africa and Asia and like showing my experiences. People love that, so I started same name company, WildWorks, WERX, like Softworks, but WildWorks, and now I do adventure travel and African tours, African safari tours all across Africa for the American
hell yeah.
audience. Yeah.
Dude, how has that been? Finally figuring that out, putting it together, and having your first, actual booked tour, and you're manning it yourself.
It was amazing because when I was doing the nonprofit, I was like, I'm going to raise enough money that eventually we can make mission and I can pay myself CEO salary. That's the goal. Otherwise, it's just a grind. I never got there, but I set the goal like I need to have a paycheck before I'm 40. So I just turned 40 in October. Wild Response didn't work. I shut it down in March. I went to the conference in Orlando and I felt like a complete failure. And I had a little rock bottom moment, like shut down my nonprofit, didn't pay myself. Don't want to be a contractor. Spent thousands of dollars to set this up, fly to America. And I remember kind of having a low point for a second, but I pulled myself out of it. And I looked back on it all like it's all been an amazing experience. It's why I can so confidently run Wild-Werx because of everything I did in Wild Response. But it brought me to where I am now. So we were talking about this the other day, like the failures thing, like that failure rate. Some people are just afraid to fail. I failed, things didn't work out, but now I'm getting to see like all the failures of experience, which got me to WildWorks. So made WildWorks. It's going great. They sell what people want. People want to come to Africa and do safari and travel. So it's been going good. The business is rolling forward. I'm happy. Got a paycheck. My biggest one is I've been working with SOCOM Warrior Care now since around 2021. I've taken 2 programs to South Africa as a veterans expedition. I think I sent you the video. Yeah. So now I've actually moved that over to WildWorks. I just got permission last 2 weeks or so to basically I still hold that. So right now I'm one of the only companies that has a special operations veterans program out in Africa. So that's me, Kevin of WildWorks. I specialize in holistic mental health and therapy in the African wilderness.
Which is important, which we need to talk about. I think we touched on it a little bit, and I shared a lot. We talk about awe and the importance of that emotion. It's not well understood, but every time you get with your friends and you have a drink and you talk about the greatest things you've done, for a lot of us, the idea of the greatest things we've seen and done always links back to something in combat, always links back to a far off mountain in Afghanistan or a mission in Iraq. The reality is that's connecting you to combat. That's connecting you to a place where you lost a friend. That's connecting you to a place where you had some heartache. We have to be willing to go somewhere else to experience awe. Go to Africa, go to the bush, go on these trips that are readily available for you. I'm telling you, as a veteran, as a soft guy or gal, as a conventional soldier, as a veteran, you have options to go experience some amazing things. If you need help finding them, hit us up. You're not alone. Yeah. You're not in this fight by yourself. Like, you need to experience awe in a healthy, grand friggin' place. And what better place to do it than Africa?
Nailed it on the head. So actually, I made a little list here to go through. So I really sat down. Well, kind of how now we spoke about WildWorks and what WildWorks does. I'll kind of explain a little more. So one of my business strategies is really focused on, it was going to be the veteran market, but now I will take veterans groups still. Like Wounded Warrior call me like, hey, I've got a group 10. I will still take it. But I really specialize in our special operations veterans groups. I don't like to mix us. I'm not going to bring like half Marines. Like Green Berets want to be with other soft guys and girls. Like, and when I perfected that out, it made it really special. And I got to interview the groups that came out. And the biggest takeaways I've had from all of these things. So the first one is hypervigilance. A lot of us come away from the wars with that hypervigilance. That's a survival mechanism. It's designed to keep us alive. It does us no good when you're sitting at Fayetteville on the sofa with your wife with anxiety, the kids screaming in the kitchen. Hypervigilance then is stressful to us. It's too much. It's overwhelming. Yeah. I get it quite often in public settings when I get back to America for the first time. Because I come from bush, like even our pubs in the bush. Like we drink outside, it's under the stars, and I suddenly feel very claustrophobic when I go back to America and I end up in a club and there's lots of people. It's like, it's too much because I live in hypervigilance. I live for the sound of a leopard snapping a branch behind me. It's like, I get it. So when people get to come out here and we can talk through hypervigilance in a setting where we can actually see the rewards of it, and now it's not a curse you have, it's something that when turned on in the right setting and right moments can be useful. Also, there's something very like endorphamine about hypervigilance. Hypervigilance all the time for no reason is dumb. But when it turns on, when that sixth sense happens, and you know, like, I don't know why, but your brain's like, yo, alert. You know, I don't know if I smelled it, heard it, sensed it, and then like that adrenaline kind of, I'm getting goosebumps. That thing comes. It's like before the contact, before the shooting, before the leopard, before the lion. Like, we're no longer in war. I can't replicate a combat before the ambush, before the ID, but I can replicate the before the elephant ball, or before like, this is fresh lion. Like, oh shit, like they might be. So like that all comes rushing back, and like that makes me feel alive, and that's what I can give our soft people. And then you touched on the aura effects, or A-10 Warthog shooting over your head, like jumping out of their plane, like, just screaming over an airfield, like blowing up whatever you're blowing up that day in the hundreds of pounds. Like, I blew up thousands, I blew up tonnage. I blew out all the windows before on a camp and almost lost a career over it. Like, you'll be fine. Mushroom fell from this thing. I was instantly like, ah, shit.
I'm fucked.
Like,
I'm in trouble.
But no civilian will ever get to see that much tonnage of explosion go off from like 200 meters. Nope. Like that, it's that almost safe, unsafe. Same thing, like you're in an open vehicle, I've driven you out, and here comes a 6-ton elephant, and he's about to walk right by the vehicle. Like, he's going to rub down the side of it, and his eye is going to come by. Like, everyone's just sitting there like, oh, do I look? Or I put you in a situation right now where your body is in fight or flight, and you're kind of like, wow. I can repeat that almost every day when you're here in situations. Like, that's a huge thing we miss, is like the awe part. And then the dopamine with that too. There's dopamine that follows that. I like working outside my office downstairs because there's a natural dopamine drip from hearing the birds and the crickets and the wind on my face and the breeze blows through. Like, I'm outside in a healthy environment. That's why like we do outdoor classrooms. Like, it's also what we miss about being in the army. We hate being in the field. It sucks. But now as adults, you find out, like, when was the last time you went and slept in the field for 7 days with no sleeping bag? It sucks. But when you're doing it, there's something really primal about it. You're under the stars. You can, especially in SF, and we're like this SUT phase, we're just out there. Like, I remember some nights on guard, there was one night the entire wood or forest was dragonflies. And like the birds were singing at night, like the nightjars. I remember being like, this is beautiful. Like, the situation sucked, but little moments like that where you just, I remember on like the Star Course too, I was crashing around, lost one night. I was waiting for like a swamp. The sun was like the moon was shining, the frogs were singing, and I stopped in the swamp and kind of looked around like, this is just a gorgeous night to be out on, just in the middle of nowhere, no one else. So like a lot of that we miss. So we get that here. Circadian rhythm is a big one. I swear by now, I see a lot of the SF guys or military in general, we have terrible sleep habits. Here I wake up early with the sun. And at the end of the day, I get tired. There's no like TV and play on your phone. I try and read a book and go to bed. It's like a natural cycle to get. And like, my sleep health is good. If sleep health is out of balance too, it messes up everything. Like the army, how many guys do we know? I had 3 hours of sleep last night. I can run on coffee. Like, you can't efficiently. You can, but you're an asshole and you're missing a bunch of stuff. It'd be better if you slept for 8 hours, hydrated, and cut the coffee out. You'd be like an A1 person.
We treat sleep like it's a reward, and it fucks us for the rest of our lives after the service.
I love my sleep.
It's
8 hours a night. It's one thing I do not compromise on. Like, my sleep is absolute. Like, once it's dark, I'm like, it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, dude. I tell people I'm like 8:30, sometimes 7. Screw it, dude. I got nothing. I'll wake up early. Waking up early is the best, man. Waking up at 4:30.
I was done with my day yesterday. I was bored. I was getting ready. Like, I would sit down and watch TV, and I went to bed. My wife was like, "Are you going to bed now?" Like, I had a plan. I got up at 4. I sat outside this morning, had a smoke, drank coffee, heard the lions. I went from like dark to light. All the crickets started, then the birds started, then the lions started, and then the bats came home and landed in the roof. And I was just sitting out there like grounded in the present, right? So I make sure I don't have my phone out there in the morning, and I doing like a conscious effort to listen to the birds, feel the breeze, like very aware of. It's like SEALs. I still do SEALs. Stop, look, listen, smell. When veterans come out here, I make them do it. Wherever we stop, Like, what
Doing
can
a
you
little
see?
security halt.
What can you smell? Like, learn to be more grounded in the environment, not just like, I'm a human, there's sand and the dog. Like, is it blowing on your face? Can you smell the dog? Like, so these little like present moments I get from being in the bush where I actually get to flex my presentness and kind of, it's great, man. So some of the many benefits to me being out here. Then the whole like the tribal thing is one we miss from being in the military. So I like being a ranger again in conservation. You're back with a group of people who are passionate about wildlife conservation. They'll die for wildlife conservation. So you're back around people with that same mentality. They're passionate. Everyone's the same. You're having drinks by the fire and wild parties in the bush. But like, it's what I missed. It's what I found a new way to replace it. We already went over nutrition and exercise being so important. Yeah. Shared experience. Let's touch on that one, right? Like, that's why a lot of the military and the war as a whole, I feel like messes so many of us up as veterans. Like, we have this shared experience that comes from hardship and just being miserable. And then we get out and like, you never get shared experience with anyone else again in the civilian world unless you go to war with them, or like an apocalypse happens and you fight side by side killing zombies for a month. You're like, you know what? You're pretty cool, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's also why a lot of guys, when they get out, they're looking for other groups to go do hard things, to go do ultra marathons, to go do endurance sports. Like, that's what's fueling that. Like, I've seen guys that absolutely hate running, or they hate CrossFit, but they go to the CrossFit community, they go to the endurance and adventure racing groups, because that discomfort, that shared struggle, gives them that community again. It's like, dude, I don't have nothing in common with Jim. He's a banker and Stephanie owns a bakery, but we're out here doing this insane run, and now I have tribe again. Like, we're constantly looking for tribe. Yeah.
Basically the biggest come around from everything. Like, if people don't understand, there's some really great books out there in tribalism. Like, it's not up for debate. Like, a few thousand years ago, we were hunters and gatherers. Like, we were mobile. And then we started cultivating corn and grain, which now we have to sustain and protect. Yep. Basically, corn, in a way, cultivated us, or grain. We didn't cultivate grain in a way. Grain won. Grain gets cultivated and protected and pests. Like, so really, like, who won that one? So that's when, like, we started to lose the hunter-gatherer band, and in every hunter and gatherer band, you had tribes. Like, we were part of a tribe, and being the strongest and the best in your tribe, like, it's very alpha male, and very few people will ever get to experience what it is to be in a freaking wolf pack.
Yeah.
Like an NFL team, or maybe professional sports, like UFC kind of, but like, you stop before that point of like everything on the line. You beat each other up, but you don't like take it to the edge of death. Like, that's what the military does for us in war and combat. Like, we share that nice edge of a really unique thing, and it bonds us hard. I've got friends I've made post-military. I'm kind of like, meh. I've got some military friends I haven't seen in years, but I served with them. I could rock up at their house now, and we would pick up like it was just yesterday. Like, we were still on the team, haven't missed a beat. We have shared trauma and shared experience. So I really like bringing vets out to our veteran program here, because they can do that. Like, shared experience from being in the bush. It's hot. We walk lots. There's lions. There's danger. There's a fire talk, and like, by the end of it, all these little things on your checklist are being ticked off without you knowing. And that's when everyone leaves. They're like, oh my God, this was amazing. Like, there's all these steps we just kind of helped articulate you through, and you got to experience real time. Once if I tell you it, be like, you can't conceptualize it. I tell you it, we get to go out in the bush. I'm like, are you doing this thing right now? You're like, oh, yeah, I am. Like, now when you're back home, you can do the same thing when you get stressed out. Just take a second to ground and be like, just shut out from this. Imagine I'm somewhere dangerous. Like, how many things can I smell? Can I see? Can I feel? Like, so back in the present is big. So like, also the tech reduction when you're here in the bush with us.
Oh, fuck,
we have Wi-Fi.
yeah, dude.
We have like the texting is killing us. Me and you around the same age. I turned 40 this year. We're lucky. We were the generation before phones. We were the generation that was kicked out, and you'd come home when the lights were on. There was no. We had like parenting, but not like this. Your parents didn't know where the hell you were. If you didn't come home, they'd get the phone book and start calling the other kids, and then you'd show up an hour later, like, I went too far and it took me too long to walk home. I lived before the age of me. I lived in we were in the army before the age of it. Like, it used to be you could disappear to the barracks for the day and just ghost out. They'd be like, you're released for the day. Like, that means you can't find me until tomorrow. Now they release you for the day, and then they'll message you to come back. And if you don't answer the phone, like, it used to be, you could be like, did you say release?
And they'll follow you on social media. Where's this
Even that
motherfucker?
social
Get on
media
this
thing,
IG.
because you're seeing yourself, because I ran the social media for my nonprofit. I saw like how much of a drain it was on me, and then you're doing the same thing. Like, it's very important in this day and age, but it comes at a cost to us. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. And if you aren't careful, like, you're doing it right, you can cut yourself and then put some Neosporin on, heal it. Never let too many cuts happen. I feel some people get into it too much. Before you know it, it's like every day you're having to cut yourself. And before you know it, you're just like, it's a shell of what you were, and like you went down this whole kind of thing. It's because of all the hooks. It's dopamine. It attracts us. When I get you out here, you have your phones, but when we're in the bush, there's no phones. That's just all turned off. When we're out walking for 3 or 4 hours, like, there's no phones, which is a really nice disconnect. Usually the first 1 or 2 nights, people will come back and check their phones as soon as they get back for the crack. And by the end of it, I notice people quite happily come back to camp, go to the swimming pool, go to the fire. They want to talk, like they're already getting away from the. So, like, there's huge benefits that we had to get them out.
There's nothing worse than social media for kids, for adults. I don't read comments.
Terrible. I can't imagine being a kid and having to live through that. People judging you, or you haven't even become a child yet and experienced the world to know what the world is, but you're taking in the whole world for this portal 24/7, and it's telling you you're not hot enough, you're not fast enough. You've got all them alpha male types talking about motivation. Like, it would be effing up my little head trying to figure out who I was with that. It's a lot. It's heavy power. It's a lot right now.
It's damaging and hurting so many kids. I didn't understand the prevalence of, like, what real cyberbullying is. Like, growing up, I believe bullying for us was necessary. You needed to figure out where exactly.
Someone's weak, someone's strong. Like, everyone needs to know where you are on that scale. Otherwise, like, it's anarchy. We're a tribal species. There's a pecking order.
But the cyberbullying thing that's killing kids and hurting so many families, it's one of the most disgusting things ever. Now anybody can follow anybody, can hurt anybody, can reach out, and I'm just like, fuck, dude. Like, we had it easy. You get in a fist fight at school, you figured it out. You figured out how to work with each other. But this new thing is dude.
I'm watching it destroy.
For adults. Yeah. For us as adults, we're constantly looking at it for either validation or measuring yourself against somebody else. Oh, he's doing better than me. I can't. I
try not to. I really try. There's no one right now I look at, I'm like, oh, you're doing. I kind of see through the veil of it. I enjoy it, but even I some days, like, go down the hole and, like, whoa, how did I come up here? Like, what? And I know about the hole, and I warn people about it. Imagine if you weren't savvy, like, that thing will take you down. Yeah, it's a drug. It's an addiction. So as I travel the world now, especially back to America, everyone is just like, you could murder someone and no one would even notice. People do not even look up. I quite often, I like to not have my phone. I read a book so I can look around and watch people. But everybody now.
Hands down, hands down. Pretty soon it's just going to be a chip. It's just going to be in your head, and you're going to see the glazed over look.
And then the Israelis will hack that and blow it up. What do you mean you're shipping a brain chips?
Don't fuck with the Israelis. They will come after your tech, dude. Oh my god.
The texting has definitely taken over our lives for the good. And I'm just watching that rapidly. Like, I use AI a lot. I've been using AI for writing for a couple of years now for the website posts. So I've seen that evolve. And if you haven't, so there's about to be an AI extinction. Those that aren't keeping up with the trends, like my parents, they can't tell the difference between AI photos right now. So I was back.
Parents and grandparents.
Like, oh, Kevin, look at this. I'm like, that's fake. And like, what? It's not fake. I'm like, I can tell it's fake just because of, like, I've been following AI evolution. There's things in there that my brain says, like, I know. The average person can't tell. And I'm watching the videos right now. They're amazing. The new, so like, it used to be see it, believe it. If it's on video, it was made, it must be real, or it was produced. Now it can be like, seeing isn't believing. Humans can't be trusted. Like, it unravels the whole social apparatus of being an upright storytelling ape. If I can't trust other ape stories,
it's scary times. It's scary friggin' times. I've seen the same thing. Critical thing. I used to blame, like, you're not a critical thinker. You're not really seeing through. But now you're right. Like, the video tech is so much better, and it's just advancing at such a fast rate. It's going to be at the end of the day, like I'm not even here. This is all AI. This is this isn't real anymore.
Yeah, you can literally do that right now. You can take our pictures and we can upload it to the AI and we could tell it to have a conversation based on this, tell it to refer to another podcast for ideas and topics, like, and let it run. Like, it will just do it. I think
out
people
there.
might actually be doing that right now. People probably are doing that, their quota, right? You can just literally hang out.
Podcastle AI right now offers a podcast AI tool where you upload your voice, you record your voice, and it will clone it. And you give it a topic, you give it the script, and it'll. I'm using it right now. This isn't even really Denny. This is just.
You seen that video? The movie was it Idiocracy?
Yeah.
We're getting closer and closer to that. The more and more we give up what it is to be human and to make decisions for ourselves and think, and we're like, that will never happen. We're like, wow, last decade have we made some big ass jumps? And you're like, jump for another 20 or 30 years is like that Idiocracy thing, isn't so. When everyone takes most of the news from the internet nowadays, which people 100% do, it's like that was the whole premise of Idiocracy. People stop questioning things, like
Mondo. It's got electrolytes.
Terry Crews is the president. Like, we all far off from that point.
We're not.
We really are.
Dude, Kevin, it's been an absolute blast, man. If people want to get involved or they want to take you up on the offer and come down to the bush, how do they get a hold of you, man?
Yep. So I run the company WildWorks. You can find us online. That's Wild, WILD -Works, WERX.com. So WildWorks, wild-works.com. We're on Instagram, online. You can book for the portal. I'm doing safari and adventure trips all across Africa. And we're about to open Asia next year. So I've got my first group going to Thailand in February. Yes, my other home. I'm not in Africa or America. You'll find me in Thailand. So I, as a veteran, soft guy that's traveled the world, I'm doing it for American civilians as my job. But for the veteran space, I really would love to get you to these places. So I do 15% discounts for veterans. I'll quite happily get you to anywhere you need to be. If you're a veteran charity or group, like I said, I'm approved by SOCOM Warrior Care. So I can do charitable donations for my trips. So if someone's like, I've got 20 grand to donate right now, I will link you up with one of our nonprofit partners who will then arrange with SOCOM Warrior Care to provide the money, and then I will provide the service of the safari. So I work both ways there. So you either come out with your family, come see me, or if you're a veterans group or you support veterans, please reach out to me and I can find a way to make it a charitable donation to get veterans out here to experience what me and Denny just spoke about.
Heck yeah, man. If you guys pause right now, go to the episode description. You see all that information right there. Follow us on Instagram. Follow Kev on Instagram. Go to all these clips that I put out there. All the information for his organization will be on there. And please, like we talked about how horrible social media is, but it's also a great marketing tool. So please follow Kev. Give him your support, your likes, your shares, and subscriptions, because we need to make this program big. It's up to us to change what healing modalities are offered to our veterans as they get out. The past 20 years has wrecked all of us. We need to do better. And right now, one of the greatest things we can do is stop leaning on medication and start leaning on nature. Start being willing to explore the great outdoors and get out and really experience awe again. So please take Kev up on his offer and get down the bush and see what life's really like, man, because it's not about, these experiences in urban society. It's about getting outside and exploring again. Because you were an explorer once. You went and you traveled the world and saw amazing things. So just be willing to do it again.
Kev, it's still out there. Yeah, the world is amazing. It's like Africa, Asia. I still haven't been to all of it. And it's still, I go to places like Thailand, like golden monks and like temples as big as you can imagine, 3-story gold Buddhist monks, and you're just like, how do they build this? It's just like, ore is out there. I would love to help you find it. I'd love to get Denny out to Africa to do a podcast in person, make that happen.
Let's make that happen. I need to travel to Africa. It's on my bucket list, and I have a mobile kit. So have podcasts. We'll travel.
Find a way there. Let's find a veterans group to fund it, get special operations veterans out, and you can do a podcast in the African bush with our veteran special operations group.
I know some people. I actually know some people. We'll get offline. I got to connect you with some folks.
Yeah. Let's have a catch. We'll make this happen. Next episode, South Africa.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Guys, thank you all for tuning in. Please take care of each other. And until then, we'll see you all. Until next time, we'll see you. Take care.
Yeah.